is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday. Right now, the start of 2+ hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. Joining me today, it's a three-man booth because it's the big boy slate. We have Keith Eister, and we have Kirkwood, a.k.a. Kid Yahoo, a.k.a. leader of the Juggalos, a.k.a. leader of the Gutless Power Rankings, a.k.a. one-day Dew Point model presenter. But, yeah, what's up, Kirkwood? How are things in your world?
I hate you always showing thoughts. A lot of red tape there. We're trying our best to get it, I got bogged down. I was given really valuable ideas about this show tonight that apparently didn't get worked in. So I apologize, but the ideas were solid. But anyways, I'm doing well. How about you? Actually, I'm kind of pissed off. Last show, I haven't been on since. So I played DK like once last week. Okay. And I had the nuts, but I was about to click the 888, and then I look at it was 150,000, and no, it was 300,000 and 100,000 to first, and I was like, nah, I better be good. That? I'm not playing that, and I would have got first, and it was really, really, bittersweet.
So you won like 10K or 20K or whatever it was tonight, and you were still
like
upset.
10K, and then I like 10K that goes like that, Dean, in the world of DFS. 100K, it's I could guarantee a profitable DK season.
You said ideas, by the way, ideas with an S, plural. What were your ideas? There was one idea, but it was a half-baked idea, and we can't use half-baked ideas. We need fully baked ideas.
Well, in order to get to the idea that I gave you, I had to have multiple ideas, and then I whittled it down for you.
Keith, what did you take of me and Kirkwood arguing? I don't know, arguing, bickering. Keith just like in the middle of the two of us, like playfully combating each other. But
yeah, I'm just an innocent bystander here. I'm trying to stay out of this.
And that's the crazy part. We'll get to it, but you attack me, Dean, and you leave the Iceman over there all free, and
So we'll take him behind the curtain for a second. We'd like to do our tier power rankings, and I like to be inclusive. I want to say, who am I hosting with today? Okay, I'm hosting with Keith. I'm hosting with Kirkwood. Let me throw the idea the other way. If they have anything they want to, in particular, they want to power rank, by all means, I'm happy to yield. I'm on this show 5 days a week, so at all times, I am happy to yield. I want to be as inclusive as possible. And Keith didn't respond, and that's fine. I assume it means Keith had no interest, and no worries. You responded, but just with an idea, but not an actual list. Now, what am I supposed to do with just an idea and no list? Now you want me to do some legwork.
I'm the idea man. I gave you a good, it must get steered. You got a lot of really bad lists lately, I've seen. So I noticed, I'm like, well, I'm going to help this guy out and give him an idea for a great list, which was
it wasn't a great idea, but it was fun. But it wasn't great.
Top hip hop albums of all time. That would be I'm sure that.
And you want me to rank them? What about me? Suggest that I'm qualified to rank that. What do you know?
Well, we could have done it on the show and all ranked it together quickly and come up with our whatever 5 tiers or whatever it is.
So you're changing the format entirely, and that we're just going to research. We're going to go and Google.
I'm just throwing ideas. I'm just spitballing here, Dean. I'm throwing ideas out. Thought that was valuable, but apparently you didn't appreciate it.
I don't want half measures. I want full measures, or I want no measures. That's how that goes. But I just don't think I'm qualified to do the rankings. So you're basically giving me an assignment, and I'm like, look, I have one ready to go.
So you were basically pushing your assignment onto us, is the way I look at it.
My assignment was complete. Yours was incomplete. You had incomplete work, sir. I had a complete assignment ready to go whenever needed. It's also a Movie Monday, by the way. What's up, people? In the chat, I see somebody in the chat was asking about Movie Monday. Yes, Movie Monday is happening as well. What is Movie Monday? We drop a clue once every 15, 20 minutes or so, give or take, 5 clues in total. You tell us what we were talking about. You respond to this in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. You get 1 guess per clue dropping, and the winner gets himself 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium, not RG Premium. You can get some scores and odds premium as well. All right, let's not drop that. Oh, Broccoli Boy is ready. You know what? I wasn't going to drop clue number 1, but I see Broccoli Boy in chat is asking for clue number 1. So let's give the people clue number 1. I, at this point, am not allowing any more hole-in-ones. If you get it, congratulations, but I'm making it very, very difficult. But the first clue, which probably isn't all that helpful.
I know Kirkwood's guess.
The first clue. What was that, Steve?
I know.
I'm honing in on this. I'm gonna try to nail this. Give me the clue.
All
well,
right,
here's
ready?
Kirkwood. If you actually have the answer, let's not spoil for the people. Like you can.
I
Tell
don't
us in
have the
private
answer.
chat.
I don't. I'm not.
Well, I
I'm
know
not
because
that
I didn't. I created it and I didn't tell you the answer.
And I
I
don't
know you
cheat.
don't have it.
I don't cheat.
If you actually happen to bink it, though, try not to share because it'll ruin the game. Clue number 1, the word is mountain, and jump over.
Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain.
Do you think I would really make that number 1? Like, that's what I would do? Like, honestly, I just said, I wanted a whole preamble that said there's no way you're going to hole in one it. And that's right there. We're going to just lay up right there for the people. I wouldn't do that.
I nailed it.
It's a week free of RG Premium. You got to earn this. It's not Brokeback Mountain, for the record. So anybody else that was guessing that, feel free to trash that. All right. 12-game slate, big boy slate on a Monday night. Weird one. There's a lot of pitchers I think you can roster, but not many you feel amazing about. There's a couple that are pretty good. We do live north of a salary cap. As far as hitting-wise, not a lot of great stuff out there hitting-wise, as far as I can tell. Like, certainly things you can talk yourselves into. I'm scrolling down, looking for anybody with a team total above 5. I think Houston might be the only team that has a team total above 5. They are currently right at 5 on the nose, taking on Ross Stripling, their home versus Stripling. And that Houston lineup looks pretty solid, with the exception of, I guess they got the backup catcher in there. Or no, okay, Diaz is okay. So they got Diaz and Caratini. They're both in there. One must be DHing. Yeah, Altuve, Tucker, Alvarez, Pena, Singleton, Bregman, Diaz, Caratini, Myers. I think that is the only total above 5. Dodgers, tough ballpark today out there in San Fran. They're locked in for 9, but their team total just 4.4, which is not a lot of runs. Philly is without Schwarber again. They're facing a lefty. It's a tough ballpark, so they're below 4. Keith, am I right to say we're going to power rank the stacks? But it feels like offense it's a 12-game slate, 24 offenses. Kind of hard to find today. Yeah, we'll talk pitchers as well, obviously, but just big picture. Is that the way you see it as well?
Yeah, it's really jumbled up. Like you said, nobody with a team total over 5. There's a bunch of just mid 4 team totals. Any one of these teams could pop off for 8 to 10 runs, but identifying which one that's going to be is no easy task today. So I think I'm trying to hone in on my pitchers. Like you said, there's a lot of pitchers out there that are viable as well. Kind of just the flip side of these middling totals. Definitely a lot that are playable, but there are a couple that are standing out for me on the pitching side. So I think I'm spreading out with my offense quite a bit and trying to hone in on a couple of pitchers that I just want to go way over the field on. Certainly Houston looks okay. The Padres look okay. We'll rank them, like you said, a little bit later, but nothing really jumping off the page standing out from an offensive standpoint.
A couple offenses that may have appeared on Kirkwood's gut list earlier in the season. We'll speak to that as well. Atlanta did come out. There is no, as suspected, Riley left yesterday's game. We got, you're probably excited about that one, Keith, right? Imanaga, your boy there for Chicago against Ronaldo Lopez, which is, we don't talk a lot of ERA stuff, but the ERAs as far as those starting pitchers in that game, 1.08 for Imanaga, 1.53 for Lopez. Those are two offenses I kind of like in general, but like two of the tougher pitchers as well. Are we watching? We're watching that game tonight, aren't we? I assume we are, Keith.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the wrong team is favored in that game, by the way.
Ooh, there it is. Yeah, the Cubs are getting healthier. The Cubs are getting healthier as well. So, did you bet the Cubbies today?
I did. I bet their money line. Yep.
Plus 120. That's what I'm seeing it at. Taukman. Well, that's the projected lineup. Do we officially have a Cubs lineup? I assume we're going to get the standard. Suzuki's back. Obviously, Bellinger's been back for a little bit. Probably get the Bush, the lefty. We'll get it soon enough. If not, they're sprinkling in on through. But Kirkwood, your thought as far as today's slate? It's there's not a lot to get excited. I figure there'd be more to get excited about in such a big slate. Whether amazing pitchers or amazing hitting, and it's a lot of it's kind of in the middle. I think we'll discuss. What is your overview, Kirkwood?
Yeah, I like pitching. I think, it's not like the top tier, but I think there's a lot of good arms you can feel pretty comfortable about, or you can at least feel good about the risk you're taking on because of the spots. So right off the bat, Yamamoto looks great, right? against San Fran, but Brady Singer against Seattle, yes, please. Everyone's kind of like grouped in that for the most part. There's Yamamoto has the highest K rate on the season, and then pronounce it for me, Keith, so I get it in my head right.
Imanaga
and Yamamoto, and then it's like everybody else is all around that 25 percent K percentage range. So I like Brady Singer. It's just Seattle is just in a tier of their own for strikeouts, and they're really a runaway from the pack already, from a good like 3% difference to the next in line there. So yeah, I like that a lot. And I also like just going with Vasquez for cheap and attacking Colorado on the road. And so I feel like I can play any bats I want if I use those two for the most part, So I like this. I think it is spread out, like you said. I think the Padres are probably the number one in my eyes. And yes, they have been on the gutless rankings, but it was majority of that weighted ranking was because of last season, how they really just underperformed. But they've gained some trust with me so far this season. So they've moved out of the top 5 gutless rankings. So I'm all aboard today. But there's Houston, there's just like, I don't know, we'll have to figure out on the show, but we can't forget too that it is Mozzarella Monday. It's not just Movie Monday, it's Mozzarella Monday. And Dean is a pro's pro.
Yeah, well, stumbling out the gates, I suppose. I saw a funny clip of Vinny Pasquantino talking to his mom, who was like taking pictures, and she's like in the front row, and he's like, they got people who do that, right? Like he was having fun with her. I think it was a clip they recycled from last year. It's kind of popped up on my Twitter timeline, but I was looking at the projected umpire stuff. No extreme projected umpires as far as hitters umpires, extreme one way or the other. Ownership wise, this is on DK, and you have to forgive me because my computer is working really, really slowly. It's strange because I gave it a hard reset before the show started, and I'm stumbling out the gates here for some reason. I don't really know why, but my computer, my laptop, I did order a new one. It's on the way, but it is sputtering
What'd you
sputtering
got?
to the finish line. Oh, I went balls out, man. I don't
Apple
know.
2C? Apple 2C plus?
I asked Bobby Gomes told me what to get basically. And whatever Bobby Gomes told me to get, that's what I got.
Oh, this could get interesting.
Yeah, I got a MacBook 16-incher.
Yeah, okay.
All the bells, all the whistles.
Can't go wrong with it.
But it takes 2 weeks to get here. It's like they got to build it. I'm like, what do you mean? They have like a billion of these things just lying around. But can we get this on a rush? But we're excited for the new laptop. This one's it's year 4 or so, and I just beat it up, and I guess that's what's going. I just it's always on, and I don't let Kevin Roth. I don't shut it down properly. Kind of let it run. So we're kind of sputtering here to the finish line. Point I was getting to, I wanted to pull up the ownership stuff. Yamamoto, by the way, is expected to throw baseballs tonight for the Dodgers. There was some thought earlier in the day. They kind of bounced back and forth and no official. Like MLB.com had Gavin Stone. Is that official, or is that just assumed? I think Dave Roberts alluded to Yamamoto. Do we know officially the guy throwing baseballs for the Dodgers today? Do we know that for certain?
He was officially added to the MLB.com page.
Yeah, that's all I saw. Yeah, that they switched it.
Okay. Good. Okay, because I saw conflicting reports not too long ago, but and then I know our projection team made the call, and I assume that they dug into this stuff as well. He's the highest projected owned pitcher. Nice ballpark there in San Fran. 96 pitches expected, 36% as far as the ownership is the big number, and then it's kind of flat behind that with Kirby, the aforementioned Singer, and Randy Vasquez, and that's just salary and opponent driven because he's 6K. All those guys around the 20% zone. And then a bunch of dudes in the teens. Not really a bunch, but Sanchez at 14%, 15%, 12% for Manaya. I don't really love either one of those, to be honest. Good ballpark, obviously. Manaya's numbers are not great. I know that's not the best Philly offense that they can roll out there, especially without Schwarber and JT Realmuto. Maybe I should reconsider that because Manaya's, 2 of the best hitters there in Philly are out. Of course, Schwarber will be left on left, but still, he will be better than whatever nonsense they're throwing in there instead. Keith, I always like to know, are you running your 20? I know Kirkwood, I assume Kirkwood's doing his one main lineup. Are you running 20 today? What's the strategy here as far as lineup building?
Yep, 20 lineups for me today. Actually 40. I have 2 20 maxes going, so 40 lineups total.
Oh, were you recently were you recently married, or we got we're doubling up? How are we making this? I guess did they have a second contest?
Yeah, there's a $1 20 max actually, and DraftKings recently lifted some restrictions for me, so I'm actually eligible for that contest now.
I am too, and you know what? I have no shame, Keith. I will. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the time to make contests, so I might as well click on this too. Okay, I guess, sure, why not? I have no shame. We graduated from it, and now we've fallen back. I guess I don't really know. Is that a bad sign for DFS? I don't know, but I did think that was interesting that those restrictions were lifted, and I'm in the $1 as well too. But sure, let's just throw it in there just because. What if it actually happens to hit? Kirkwood, it's the one main lineup today. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we'll see. I might make 3.
Oh, right. you're still figuring it out.
No, I might make 3. So after this show is what I've entered all my. After this show is what I'll start entering DK. So I'm behind the ball today.
Understood. TJ in chat saying, Dean, there are multiple contests. That's how they work. Yeah, no, I just didn't know. Okay, yeah, I wasn't really certain what was going on there. TJ, he says we've been over. I'm very forgetful sometimes, TJ. I apologize, and I am flustered. My laptop is throwing me off a little bit. It's lagging a little bit. My apologies, but hopefully we'll be able to power on through. Are we playing in one main lineup, Kirkwood? Are we playing Yamamoto? We're just spending up for him because he's the most reliable piece?
No, not on DraftKings. I don't think you have to. I think he's a great option for sure. But like I said, I love Brady Singer in this spot. I like Vasquez for the cheap upside against the Rockies. So those are probably my 2 for bats. I'll go up if I have extra salary. I'll certainly go up there and I would switch one out and use them, but that's my starting point.
Sell me on Vasquez, or is it just like cheap pitcher facing the Rockies on the road, and that's that?
It's mainly the cheap pitcher facing the Rockies, but he's got some decent stuff. And his pitch count has been getting higher, so we don't have to worry about that too much. There's some risk there for sure. He might not be the most talented on the slate, but when you factor in matchup, you factor in price. It's just what I'm playing at this point in the year. I don't really. There's no like crazy upside pitchers. It feels like anymore.
That's kind of where I'm at as well.
I can make a little bit of a case for Vasquez. There's only two lefties projected to be in this Rockies lineup, and Vasquez looks to be a guy who's going to have pretty extreme splits. Last season, he struck out 26.5% of righties, 12.5% of lefties. This season is trending the same direction, 25% of righties, 11% of lefties. We're only looking at Blackmon and McMahon as the projected lefties for the Rockies right now. He's been well above average against right-handers. I think there's hidden upside here. This Rockies lineup is trash in itself. And if you pull up plate IQ, like their strikeout rates are just astronomical here against the righty. So the lack of lefties in the lineup and his splits with the righty strikeouts, I think Vasquez is way underpriced for this matchup.
Yeah, and you probably watched him against your Cubs where he
looked pretty good.
He went 83 pitches, which he had 6 Ks, 0 walks. 31% call strike whiff percentage, which is good. So his curve is really working right now. His curveball he's got. So I'm with Keith. I think, and I just the 6K price tag. I think you got to roll him out in this spot.
So you think he's good shot, Keith? Like at 20-25% or so, you're going to be over that?
Yes, I will be over that.
Pulling up the plate IQ stuff, and yeah, like it's small sample stuff for this season specifically, but 30% striking out. The projected lineup for Colorado against righties this season it's a massive number, and obviously it's even worse on the road. Just a terrible, terrible lineup. Are you on board with Singer like Kirkwood is? Are you going to be with the field above or below when it comes to Brady Singer?
I will be above on Brady Singer as well for reasons that Kirkwood mentioned. Seattle is just striking out a ton this season. Colorado, we just talked about, is second, and they're over 2% behind Seattle. So Seattle, the highest strikeout team in baseball by a wide margin. Singer is hit or miss. Like, his Ks have kind of come and go. Like, they were way down last year. They're up above average again this season. I don't know exactly what type of pitcher Singer is, but I know it's a phenomenal matchup. I think he has more upside than Kirby on the other side of the game.
Yeah, is Kirby going to be higher owned, it looks like? Is Kirby?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't agree with that, Kirkwood? Doesn't sound like it?
No, I mean, there's some holes in Singer's game for sure, and he is volatile, but like this is the time you got to ride him.
I mentioned the Manaea thing. I didn't really have a ton of interest in Manaea, but seeing Real Muto and Schwarber out of that lineup, it's a great ballpark as well. I guess it's a no for Kirkwood, I assume, because he's only making one lineup. Keith, is he in your pool if you're making 20 to 40 lineups, Manaea?
He is not. I noticed you ranked Philly as well in your stacks, and I was excited to talk about that with you. No JT or Real Muto in that lineup is very disappointing, because I think Sean Manaea is totally fraudulent. He has a 2.2% home run to fly ball rate this year. That is not sustainable. He's going to give up some home runs. His home run to fly ball for his career is like 13%. So there's some big time regression coming. I know it's a great ballpark for not allowing home runs, basically, but he's pitched in great ballparks for not allowing home runs his entire career. He spent time in Oakland, San Francisco, and San Diego. All three of those are very good pitchers' parks. So I don't think that the Citi Field effect is helping him any more than it did out in San Francisco or even in Oakland. So I don't believe in Sean Manaea as anything more than a league average pitcher. The Philly offense is now like top 3 in WRC plus as well. No Schwarber, no Real Muto, not ideal, but I'm still not rostering Sean Manaea.
It's Merrifield leading off, who's like, he's on the back 9, if not hole 17, hole 18 of his career, but he's cheap.
Been solid this year, though, especially against lefties.
All right. I like Baum. He's really expensive, which I guess you kind of lean into that for tournaments because people are going to, this is a guy who used to be in the 4Ks. Now he's 5'6". Harper left on left. Of course, you can always roster Harper. Castellanos, another guy not as good as he once was, but sure, still plenty of power when he gets a hold of it. Stott, the lefty, Sosa, Brandon Marsh left on left, Rojas, and then Garrett Stubbs, a cheap catcher for your stack, but not a great hitter. And there's a threat, certainly, if the situation calls for it, that Real Muto will relieve him later on in the game. I was going to move Philly down, and we'll talk about stacks later, Keith, but you feel a little bit worse about it, right? You have to feel a little bit worse without Real Muto.
You have to. I mean, he's probably like Bohm has been a top 10 hitter in baseball this season. I think there's a real breakout happening there. But yeah, Real Muto was like the second best hitter in that lineup. And then Harper is obviously there, who's handled lefties fine throughout his career. But yeah, I wanted Real Muto in there for sure.
Yeah, Bohm is 8 in WAR at the moment on the season. He's been awesome. Crushing lefty pitching too.
Dropping WAR. Look at John. I like it. We don't talk a lot of WAR. Shout out to WAR.
Well, I think that's where he was when he was saying top 10 in baseball. I think that's what he was referring to. But maybe I'm wrong.
He's top 10 in WRC plus and WOBA as well.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to? I think it just dropped yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday. Dig into the swinging speed. Did you guys see the stuff that Stanton's clearly number 1 in? I didn't get a chance to fully dive into it. I don't really know how useful it is, but it's interesting if nothing else. Do you know?
So they all came with the rush. They all came with the rush today. So Jeff Passan from ESPN did an article on it, and everybody's been touting it. I didn't read it yet, but I marked it to read.
I haven't got.
Keith, do you have any thoughts on this? I think it's interesting data, but I don't really know exactly what to do with it. And a lot of it's like
we're going to have bat speed. We're going to be doing bat speed gutless rankings soon. Don't worry. We're going to.
Well, like Dave had a funny tweet. Cheeseisgood. I saw he basically said like, yeah, this is amazing data. Now we finally know that Giancarlo Stanton swings hard and Luis Arraez doesn't swing hard. It's like, thank God we have this advanced technology to figure this out, because who could have guessed? Who could have pieced this together? Let's go ahead and drop clue number 2 for the people. Let's knock out the Movie Monday. I'm going to get the tiers and eventually as well. Clue number 1 was Mountain. And again, don't overthink that one. we're trying to stretch it out a little bit. I think somebody's going to bink this eventually. I guess not a bink, but you know what I mean. Clue number 2 is Boone. That's Boone. Mountain and Boone. Those are the first 2 clues. We got 3 more coming. And what are we doing with this? We're telling me what movie we're talking about and where would you guess that at. I see people guessing in the YouTube. That's fun, I suppose. Good to get some reps in, but it wouldn't officially count. It would only officially count in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, and then a live stream chat channel. All right. Any other big stands we're taking as far as pitchers? Oh, you know what I wanted to ask? The pitcher for the Cubs. Oh, go ahead, Kirkwood.
No, we got to do my hip hop rankings the next show I'm on. I got to do this. Everybody's having fun.
You got to do the rankings.
You got Buff Daddy who's calling out a banger album, Outkast, Southern Playalistic, Cadillac, funky music or bumpy music. That's a great. If you never heard the Outkast original, their first album, that's great. Nas Illmatic is my number 1. You got Biggie, you got Tupac. There's Jay-Z.
Well, then you could have done this. Why were you assigning this to me? You could have knocked this out.
I think because I didn't know that you wanted us to do all the work for you. So I'll take that upon myself and I'll do that next time.
I mean, it's an interesting way of framing it, but yes, I say it's inclusivity. You say I'm trying to push some work on you, but that's fine.
And then we got to talk about Jug Nation has to step up, and we got to talk about our whole drinking Fago and
now is ICP considered
gathering of the Juggalos? See, they're not hip hop, but we can like branch out on a new one.
I think they kind of pretend to be hip hop, don't they? Don't they kind of
they're more like that? They're more they're more. I don't know. But if we could go old school, we could do like third base. If you ever seen this guy MC Search, he looks just like Chop back in the day. So it's
we already got a winner, by the way, for the Movie Monday, A Hole in 2. Congratulations to M Rios 0026 in the Discord. We'll still play it out just for funsies. Do not get this. Like, I thought you're a movie guy. I mean, it's right there on a platter. Or not.
Who?
Okay.
Me?
Never. Yeah, never mind.
You called me. You called me a movie guy.
I don't know. You know more about movies than I do about rap.
Probably true. Right. So what's your music of choice, Dean?
I mean, I usually listen to like The National or Arcade Fire. That's what I'm listening to.
So you're like an indie?
Yeah, sure.
I like a lot of that stuff.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. So like I music unfortunately kind of got bumped. But that would be my go-to. If you go to like my Spotify, like top 5 or whatever, that's what's popping up there for sure. But shout out to M Rios 0026, producer Steve or producer Devin. They're going to slide in your DM and hook you up with a week free of RG Premium. Okay. Any other pitchers we should acknowledge there? Oh, I wanted to ask about Imanaga because is he going to be owned? Like not at all. Here, and I imagine you're going to get some shares of him, Keith. I could be wrong here. Obviously, he's pitching above his head to some degree, unless, of course, he's the greatest pitcher of all time, which he probably isn't. He can't have an ERA of what is a 1 for the entire season. 1.08. The homer. I have 1.08.
Okay, maybe he did give up 2 last start. You're right.
Yeah, 1.08. The walks obviously are spectacular, 3.1%. The Ks are good at 26.9%, backed up by a 14.7% swinging strike rate. Now, he does have a fly ball lean, and his home run the fly ball is 5.6%. His BABIP is 239. Like, it all adds up to a 306 Sierra, which is still very, very, very good. But there's been some luck there. And the ballpark here is not special, but I think the wind's actually blowing in Atlanta for what it's worth. But I don't think he's going to be owned, Imanaga. Where do we have as far as ownership, Keith? And I'm guessing you're going to be a little bit over because it's probably not hard to be over.
Yeah, we're showing like 7% as of my last refresh here. That sounds really good to me. The matchup against Atlanta is definitely intimidating. They've been down a little bit here over the past couple of weeks, though. No Austin Riley is a huge deal. That dude just mashes left-handed pitching. Imanaga, like I know the fly ball thing is real. Like he was a fly ball pitcher in Japan. His pitch mix tells me he's going to give up fly balls, but he's not giving up that much hard contact in the air. He's generating softer contact in the air. So I'm not positive that home runs are going to be a problem for him going forward. He misses plenty of bats. Even if he ends up with like 1.5 home runs per 9, I still think he's going to be like an elite. The strikeouts look real. His fastball is incredible. Like he gets so many whiffs with that. It's one of the best quote unquote rising fastballs in baseball, meaning that it drops less than most people's fastballs. His splitter has been really good, and he mixes in like 4 or 5 pitches that he throws all a significant amount. So I'm buying into everything that he's doing, and I'm betting on talent. Yes, Atlanta is scary, but I think he's right up there with Yamamoto and Kirby as the 2 most talented pitchers on the slate.
That is I agree. I think it's not, and it's also not very hard to get him. I don't think you can make it work. Kirkwood, you have one lineup you're probably not going to get to, which is how that goes. I saw somebody in chat asking about, well, we got a Rockies lineup and a Royals lineup. Anything interesting here? Rockies, Blackman, Tovar, McMahon, Diaz, Rogers, Doyle, Cave, Montero. Not very good. Spoiler alert. Beck, the rookie, batting 9th, who's been underwhelming so far. Yeah, did you have any thoughts on that, Kirkwood, or any other pitchers? I see Argetty's being talked about in chat a little bit. Don't play Argetty, several people are saying. He doesn't look spectacular, but, he did have some K ability in the minors, an issue with walks as well. And Oakland's actually the squad ride played today, over 3.5 runs, I believe was the number. We got over that, locked in for 9. I kind of like that bet. I bet both sides over in that game, first 5. Hopefully we get some runs there. In Houston today, we'll be talking stacks soon enough. Who do we miss, Kirkwood? Anybody else? Bybee? Should we mention Bybee? Eric Johnson's asking about Bybee in chat.
I mean, he went from zero. He went from hero to 0 real quick.
So. Sanchez.
Am I like, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dean's lagging on us pretty bad.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was mine.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah.
Dean, you're a robot. Hello. Cool.
You're talking about me?
Might have lost them altogether. Yeah. He just got booted out.
I mean, the professionalism.
I think he was losing the connection. If you guys want to give any more thoughts on pitchers.
Yeah, Cutter Crawford, I think, is in play. Tampa Bay strikes out a decent clip. I think he's pretty talented. That's my homer play. I think you could make a case for Christopher Sanchez. Any others? I mean, Bybee, I don't really want to mess with Texas. I do like Cleveland in that game from the bat standpoint, which we'll get to. I mean, we've kind of hit everyone else.
Yeah, for me, the most interesting name you threw out there is Christopher Sanchez. The Mets don't strike out a ton, but that ballpark is a nice upgrade for him compared to his home park. I don't hate some shots there. Arrighetti is interesting just because of the matchup against Oakland.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to play Sean Manaea, so I'm fine pivoting from Manaea to Arrighetti. Personally, for me, I'm going overweight on Yamamoto. We didn't talk about him much, but I think this is a phenomenal matchup for him. San Francisco is really banged up at this point. Soler's been on the IL. Conforto's been on the IL. And Jung-Hoo Lee just dislocated his shoulder yesterday. So not expecting him in the lineup. Just looking at plate IQ, some of these strikeout rates on this San Francisco projected lineup are sky high. You got like Helio Ramos and Blake Sable in there, both above 30%. Yamamoto has also had like ridiculously tough strikeout matchups all season long. Like the highest, the team that strikes out the most that he's faced is the Cardinals and the Cubs, and both of them are like middle of the pack. He's faced the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, the Mets, and the Padres that are all like significantly below average from a strikeout perspective. So he has the top strikeout rate on the slate already, and I think that there's room for that to increase as well.
Well, also he had that disaster start in his first start, which wasn't really like a normal opening. Where was it? It was somewhere.
Yeah, in Korea, South Korea.
Yeah. And he's his numbers look phenomenal even with that included.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. Big Dino. Sad to lose him.
Yeah. You just want to do a summary of your pitchers before we
all right.
jump over to hitters?
So Yamamoto first. If I have the money, the way I'm starting my lineup, and I'll build from there, will be with my I want Brady Singer in this matchup because, as we said, Seattle is just in a league of their own for Ks. There's risk there, sure, but there's also immense upside. And then I'll use Vasquez, which I think we're both on, which we are both on, both like a lot, 6K against Colorado. You gotta like that. Other than that, Imanaga, you could go George Kirby, although I mean I just much rather play Singer. You could go. I mean, Ronaldo Lopez could have a good game against your Cubs, but that price is just killing me. So I'm not really going too much outside there. Those are my guys. Like we said, you could do Christopher Sanchez if you really wanted to start going down a little bit lower. Dean likes Manaea. We both don't really like him. And Keith Iceman likes Arrighetti.
Yeah, that's I will be overweight on Yamamoto. I think Singer looks like has a ton of upside for his price tag, so that's another huge overweight stance for me. And then Randy Vasquez, as you alluded to, just too cheap for this matchup against Colorado. Those are my primary overweight stances. I'll mix in Imanaga. I'll have at least double the field on. I'll have some George Kirby, but probably not as much as the field. This Kansas City offense has been a little bit pesky. I think they're at least a league average offense. Kirby's phenomenal, but he's not an elite strikeout guy. So probably need him to go pretty deep into that game to match the upside of a Yamamoto or even Imanaga and Singer. That's probably where my pool ends. If I was spreading out a little bit, it would be Christopher Sanchez and Spencer Arrighetti where I went next.
All right, I'm going to throw one out there play. And Trevor Williams matched his career high last start against the Orioles. This guy, he's like this. He's not a great pitcher, not a great arsenal. He does have some K upside, but it's just all about matchup with the White Sox. That game's going to be interesting to talk about. Both of those pitchers are extremely attackable, but both of those offenses are also horrible. Although no, that's not true. The Nats are a pretty good offense, I think now. I shouldn't have said that. But
definitely from last season,
yeah, I shouldn't have said that. But I could see that working out for you if you wanted to get there. But he's also has pitch count issues. They've been going shorter with him. Must be like the certain times through the order or whatever they've been doing with him. So be careful, but that's really stretching.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
My apologies. Yeah, I did a hard reset before the show, and my computer's been acting a little bit funky on me. Did want to note, you're talking about Washington at Chicago, and Roth updated that game. It is straight orange right now. It's gotten even worse as the day progressed. I went ahead and dropped that link in chat for the people. I'll go ahead and read what Roth wrote. I think you're asking a lot to get the game in tonight in Chicago. I was waiting to see where the rain clusters would set up, and it sure looks like they've got a good chance of going over the ballpark repeatedly. I'll check back before first pitch. Maybe we luck into some clearing at the time, but I don't love what I'm seeing on the radar or models. So, yeah, straight orange is that's definitely in dicey territory. I do agree. Like Trevor Williams has been ridiculous this year. If you cover the name up, like if you didn't know it was Trevor Williams, it's like, wow, this guy's really good. Like, oh, it's Trevor Williams. Never mind. I don't want to play. Why don't we like this guy, Keith? What is it about Trevor Williams? We just like it's a very generic name. He's been a little bit lucky too. If we go through that stuff as well, he hasn't given up a homer just yet. Homer in the fly ball is 0. The ERA is below 2, but the Sierra is just at 4, which is not terrible. The Ks are fine at 21%. Walks a tick too high at 8.5%, but he is facing the White Sox, who are allegedly at times gutless. Did you have a take as far as Williams? Or for me right now, it's just like if the game is orange and dicey, just not necessary is my official take.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm just going way overweight on Vasquez. I think he has just as much upside. Like Williams, I think we all dislike him so much because he's gotten his face punched in so many times in his career. Like he used to have a massive home run problem. Maybe he's gotten that under control at this point. He also has not generally been an above average strikeout pitcher. I know they're decent this season, still a little bit below average. But the other issue for me is the White Sox just don't strike out all that much. I know they're not a good offense. They're one of the worst in baseball, but their strikeout rate's not terrible. So the White Sox making enough contact. I would prefer Arrighetti if I was looking for a 7K pitcher. But I prefer Vasquez straight up raw points over all three of the guys that we talked about in the 7K range.
I saw several people in chat ask about sorry, go ahead, Kirkwood.
No, I was just gonna say Williams also added a new sweeper that's been kind of working for him, but the wheels are gonna fall off any day now.
Did you guys touch on Soriano? Because he's kind of like the pivot cheapie, I think. He's facing the Cardinals. The Cardinals, we know how horrendous they've been so far this season. It looks like Goldie's kind of snapped out of it. He had a nice game yesterday. I think it was yesterday where he had a good at bat where he struck out. I know it sounds weird, but he had like a 9-pitch at bat where he struck out. Then he had like a laser to the outfield. Then he actually eventually homered too, which I think was his first hit of the month. And it is the 13th of the month. But, to St. Louis on the whole, obviously has been a bit of a disaster. Soriano also kind of cheap. I don't really love the skills, but I think he's an interesting pivot away from Vasquez. Did you guys touch on that? Because I saw several people asking about it, and Steve threw it up on the board. Did you guys give a thought? And if not, please do.
It's just such a better spot for Vasquez. I think this Cardinals offense is eventually going to figure it out and be at least league average. They're also loaded with lefties in this lineup here today. Soriano has kind of shown some reverse splits in the past, but not this season. So I don't know what to believe there with his splits. He has given up more powers to righties again this season, but the strikeout rate has normalized 25% to righties and 19% to lefties. So I'm concerned about the upside. I'm concerned about the pitch count. He walks too many guys. I just want to go overweight on Vasquez.
Well, you're still playing along with the movie clue. We did get a winner. Congratulations to our winner. But like a third clue is scrolling as Recall. Our fourth one is Air. Mountain, Boone, Recall, and Air. That is just playing the home version at this point, just trying to get some reps in. Kirkwood, anything else as far as pitchers, or shall we discuss stats?
I kind of like Soriano. I'm a sucker for anybody who can throw 100 miles per hour. So
fair enough. Yeah, I see you typing in chat. You like Soriano as well. Let's talk a little bit of stacks. Today's stack category. You guys don't know it. You don't know what it is. So it's producer Steve's going to throw up on the board in a second. Before we do, though, I want the people in chat to tell me their favorite and least favorite, best and worst ballpark, American League, National League, just ballpark in the majors. Best ballpark, worst ballpark. That's what we power ranked. I mean, I think there's some obvious chalk here, but
you're gonna have two homer answers from your co-host here. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, well, Wrigley's obviously nostalgia thing. Sure. Yeah. And Fenway. Yeah. I haven't been to Wrigley. I've been to Fenway a couple times, but what is your favorites, Keith? I can't imagine what it is.
Mine is certainly Wrigley, but I have been to many, probably, 16 to 18 parks in my lifetime. There are a couple that stand above the rest for sure. Coors Field is amazing. If anyone's ever been there,
I gotta stop the show. Bob, I'm gonna give Bobby a timeout for 5 minutes here. Fenway sucks. T-roll. How do I? I gotta see if I can do this.
Do you have a wrench? Do you have wrench ability?
Yeah, we both. Bobby in a timeout? So I was hoping it was like whoever could get who first, but no, I can't do it. There must be a super wrench out there or something.
Okay, so chat's gonna like my answer. I think, at least my number one. I see several of the ones that I put up there, and I've been to. I didn't put only exclusively ones I've been to, for the record. I just like you, Keith. I've been to like 15, 16, 17, 18. I haven't officially counted them. But my number one on the board is Pittsburgh, PNC Park. I don't know if you guys have been there. The backdrop is insane. It looks like you're on a movie set. It's fake. It's so cool. Yeah, and I see several people talking about PNC. I got PNC number one. Number two is Coors Field. I was out at Coors Field a couple of years ago, and I was shocked how I was really, really impressed. I see several people in chat talking about the one in Atlanta, Truist. Truist is really nice too. But look at there's producer Steve throwing it up there. It's the bridge. The bridge in the background is insane. Keith, you've been to 17, 18?
I have been to PNC. It is at the top of the list for sure. I was getting there after Coors. I would rank them Wrigley, PNC, Coors. So we're in lockstep on our top two there.
I've never been to San Fran, but Oracle looks incredible on TV. I don't. Have you been to Oracle by chance?
I have not heard great things though.
Yeah, I have been to Tropicana Field, and it's not as horrendous, but it's kind as you expect it is. But it's kind of what you're like in a warehouse. There's a Stingray tank for no particular reason. I guess they're the Rays, I suppose. Sure, and the beams, like you hit the beams, and like you hit this beam, it's a home run. You hit that beam, it's an out. You hit this beam, it's in play, and maybe they catch it, maybe they don't. Like, what year are we playing in? What are we doing here with the beams? Enough of the beams. And then, of course, Oakland. What's that?
PNC Park is a great park.
Amazing.
To go to.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
The view, like, just the view is just spectacular. You want to be behind home plate. Get behind home plate and just check out the view. It is spectacular. And the worst one, I mean, you have a history of sewage problems. That's enough to qualify for the 5 spots. We're throwing Oakland there in the 5 spots. And that actually is a live shot before first pitch that Steve is throwing up there. The players are just ready to run onto the field. Yeah, let's see. Wrigley is a blast. Yeah, I've heard good things about Wrigley. Petco's nice. Petco's good too.
I've only been to like 5 or 6 parks, I think, but like Camden was the best that I've been to. Now
I almost put Camden third.
I hate that they who wants to push out the outfield more.
The left field, yeah. We want homers.
Yeah, like, how stupid. Like, it's just so dumb to do that.
They did it for John Means, I'm pretty sure. It really helps out John Means. I thought that was like the thesis. That and they're in the same division as Aaron Judge. Like, I don't know if they ever came out and said it, but that's what makes sense to me, at least. Steve's saying Target Field. I've heard Target Field is spectacular, but I've not yet been. Izzy is saying Tropicana worse than Oakland. I cannot imagine. Angel Stadium, not great either, Izzy. I've been there as well. It's not spectacular. Three River Stadium, that's the old school Pittsburgh Stadium. I was there as a child. Definitely an upgrade PNC.
What about the pool out in Arizona?
Arizona's nice. I guess Keith can speak to Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice park. I wouldn't have it at the top of any of my lists. I haven't done the pool experience. I'm generally there to watch baseball instead of swim, but it's a nice little addition out there. But is it almost too big? I'd have it middle of the pack probably. What's that? Too big?
Is it almost too big? Like, it's a huge place.
Yeah, center field is ridiculous.
Yeah, they do that because when they open the roof, then they kind of need the extra space, similar to Coors, but. Yeah, it is a little bit too big especially when the roof is closed.
All right, so let's go ahead and put our teams in the appropriate tiers as far as who's playing baseball this evening. I'm trying to pull up my pages, and my pages, you're not going to believe it, they're stumbling on me once again. But yeah, the very first game we have, as I pull this up, let's start with Tampa at Fenway. We didn't really talk about Cutter Crawford. I think he's a good pitcher, but I don't necessarily love him tonight. I think he's perfectly fine. 8.5 is a total here, basically a coin toss here. I'll let you start us off here, Kirkwood, because you are the Boston guy. But Tampa and Boston, what tiers we throw them
in? I mean, I can't get too excited about the Red Sox against Eflin tonight, especially the weather's not. I mean, it is nice and humid, but it's not quite high enough temperatures projected for tonight. There is a little bit of breeze blowing out to the left, so maybe some could get a little spicy, but I'll put them. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? Tropicana. And I agree with both of those.
You got them both in Tropicana?
Yeah.
Keith, any issues there?
No issues there. I think we have two at least average major league starters here. Fenway Park, you want to like the offenses, but I favor the pitchers over the offense here.
Keith, you want to talk about Philadelphia? Let's talk about Philadelphia. Right. They're actually a slight dog.
I got to respond to Bobby. I mean, he's saying I definitely sing "Sweet Caroline" at Fenway. I hate I hate that more than anything in the world. And all these stupid people where I live. All the I bet the Iceman likes that, no? Or Tim is a Sweet Caroline's guy.
First of all, Neil Diamond is a saint. How dare you besmirch Neil Diamond? It's weird that like Boston gravitated to it because Neil Diamond is like Brooklyn born. He's a New Yorker. I never really got that.
I hate
and Saving
that song
Silverman's
more than
underrated.
anything.
It's not. It's kind of jumped the shark, but it's not Neil Diamond's fault. Like doing the wave is worse. We can agree on that, right? It's not worse. Like doing the wave is. Yeah, I know what it is. Yes.
We're just doing the wave.
Today's poll question. Do you do the wave? Do you do the wave? Keith, are you a wave guy?
No, definitely not a wave guy.
Isn't Wrigley famous for like the beer snake? Isn't that something they do in Wrigley, Keith? I feel like that's a thing, is it not? The empty beer.
You'll see them.
Like a snake of like.
Yeah, you'll see them throughout the stands, but I don't think that it's necessarily a thing.
Wave is electric. I don't care what you guys say. When the waves get going, it's electric. When
the seventh inning stretch,
it's kind of cool if you're in like an arena with like 100,000 people or whatever. Yeah.
When it's going around and around, it's everybody's doing it. It's electric.
There it is, Keith. Check. That's what I'm talking about. That's what Wrigley's famous for, at least in my head. You know better than me.
No, certainly. I've seen it. I just wouldn't call it one of the things that Wrigley's famous for. The seventh inning stretch is certainly a big deal. The ivy is huge. The bleachers, like, it's way down the list.
Fair enough. Where are we putting Philly? Philly and the Mets. Philly a slight dog here, Keith, now because their lineup took a bit of a hit. Philadelphia, Managa at home versus Sanchez. What tiers are you throwing in Philadelphia and the Mets?
I've still got Philly up at Coors. I'm just not buying Sean Manaea. I think he's fraudulent. He's walking way too many guys all the way up at 12.5%. He's only striking out 18.5% of righties this season as well. Like I mentioned, the home run to fly ball stuff, like he's going to give up some home runs eventually. And Philly is one of the teams I think can certainly get to him. Bohm is my favorite hitter on the slate. Merrifield's really cheap and leading off. Harper's got solid lefty-lefty splits. Castellanos has been a disaster this season, but against lefties in his career, he's absolutely raked. So I think Castellanos.
I think he just donned.
Yeah. I mean, it was an atrocious start to the season, but he should be fine. So I still like them. Like we've talked about already. We wanted Real Muto in there, but we'll make do without. I got him up in Coors. The Mets I will put down in Tropicana. I think Sanchez has a decent chance to keep him down today.
Boo.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I don't know. What's Dean doing?
He's lagging and muted, I think.
He is so frozen.
If you want Castellanos to homer, you got to do something really forgivable first, I think, to force it to happen. Kirkwood, you have anything you want to adjust here? We got to pick up the pace here a little bit, but Philadelphia and the Mets, Kirkwood?
No, I'm fine with that.
I am not muted. Oh, unbelievable. You guys can't hear me?
Now we can.
Keith and I do all this
definitely
work.
Not muted.
We do all this work all day to get ready for the show, and then this is what happens.
All right, you guys, can you hear me right now or no?
Moving on to
can you guys hear me?
Chicago versus Atlanta.
Are you hearing me like 20 seconds later?
Yeah, we hear you way delayed.
Okay. I apologize. I did everything in advance to I thought my laptop was good to go. I don't have a ton of tabs open right now. I'm working at a minimum number of tabs, but this is a bummer. Yeah, and there's a fly ball at the left field, Castellanos.
Oh man.
All right. Cubs, Atlanta, Kirkwood.
Probably should start with Keith, but this is two high-end pitchers on the slate here going at it with
Kirkwood, can you hear me?
Not good weather. I think everyone can hear me, but not you. You can't hear me, Dean. Yeah, there we go. So I think this is both of these offenses are potent. So it's not outside the question for them to put up a big game or get to either of the stars. But I think, or maybe even below that, but at Tropicana, but either Oracle or Tropicana for each of these teams. But for me,
Yeah, I would have Atlanta in Tropicana. I'm buying what Imanaga is doing here recently. I think his pitch arsenal is really elite. Atlanta's an elite offense as well, so they could certainly put up some runs. But until we see Imanaga be a little bit vulnerable in some aspect, I'm willing to fade the Braves today. The Cubs, I like at Oracle. Lopez has looked awesome. Dean mentioned his ERA off the top. I'm not sure that I'm buying the strikeouts being elite. I think he also is going to have some problems against lefty with lefty power. The Cubs are healthy. They're an above average offense. So I like them at Oracle.
Do we want to rank Washington and the White Sox, even though we're worried it might not play? Do we want to do it anyway? Or just skip that?
Is it might not play? Is it? Well, that's right. Let me double check it.
Orange was what Dean said last.
And I think you're asking a lot to get the game in. All right, that stinks. So I kind of like the Nationals tonight. But it's not worth if it's not going to. There's a much risk for it playing. It's not like they were to stand out anyway. But I think the Nationals could be a GPP target, but we don't have to rank them.
All right, so that brings us then to Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. I think Kirkwood went first, so let's have Keith do this one.
Yeah, I would have Milwaukee at Oracle. Mitch Keller just has not quite been right this season. Milwaukee's been an above average offense. They steal a ton of bases as well, so a little hidden upside in there for Milwaukee. And then Pittsburgh, surprisingly enough, it's a great matchup for them against Colin Ray. They get the ballpark upgrade going into Milwaukee as well, so I like Pittsburgh a good amount. Let's go Coors with them. That's where I'll start them.
Hergy?
Yeah, I would. So I think Mitch Keller is coming off of a great game. I'm kind of high on what Pittsburgh's doing anyway, and with pitching all of a sudden. But he had a complete game, 1 earned run. The K stuff has still not been there so much, but I think he's a decent pitcher, so I wouldn't go crazy. So I think Oracle Park would be the top. And then, I agree with Pittsburgh putting them up there because I think they're a better like 3-man stack than full stack. Like I think Brian Reynolds, Cruz, Sawinski are good. I don't really want to mess around. I mean, you could play Tellez, Nick Gonzalez. I don't really want to mess around with much else. Also, McCutcheon is older than Head Chopper, so I probably wouldn't play him. But a 3-man, I mean, that's a pretty sexy 3-man. Reynolds, Cruz, Sawinski, I think.
Yeah, I think you made a great point there about the full 5-man. The upside gets a little dicey after the top 3, but so I wouldn't mind bumping them down to Oracle, but definitely have a ton of interest in that 3-man.
All right, I'm going to try this one more time, boys. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right. 1,000 apologies. Don't hit the like button today. We don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. If you hit it, unclick it. Get rid of the likes. And we're still going to get Spidey bombs, I imagine.
Dean, we're up to Cleveland and Texas.
Thank you. Cleveland and Texas, meaning – okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Lorenzen versus Bybee, kind of a coin toss here. Basically, minus 110 on both sides. Both lineups officially in. Freeman, Jimenez, J-Ram, Naylor, Brennan, Manzardo, the rookie, Florial, the other Naylor, and Rocchio. Semyon Seager, Lau, Garcia, Smith, Heim, Jankowski, Duran, and Tavares for Texas. I don't know who's batting first, but I'm going to throw it to Keith. Cleveland and Texas. I never like Cleveland because they don't hit enough home runs, and they seem to be just overpriced. Like, Jimenez at 5.2. In what world? In this economy? I mean, who can afford this stuff?
Jimenez's DK price is a little outrageous. You could argue Naylor's might be as well, but I think there's upside for this Cleveland team here today. And they're cheap outside of those top 3, Jose Ramirez, Naylor, and Jimenez. Then they get really cheap. I think Florial is an interesting bat, even though he's down the lineup. He was leading off for a little bit there. Manzardo is a really solid prospect. As a bat only guy, he's touching top 100 lists. So like they have big belief in the bat there. Bo Naylor was awesome last year. He struggled this year, but I think there's some sneaky upside here for Cleveland. So I would have them up at Coors. Texas. I don't know what to do with Tanner Bybee. I think he's a legitimately talented pitcher, and he's just not quite right this year. Texas, I think, is an elite offense, and they've had their fair share of struggles as well. I like pieces of Texas, but I'm going to go Oracle on Texas, just kind of in the middle. Not sure if Bybee's okay. Just middle of the pack for me on Texas.
Any issues, Kirkwood, here? Any disputes, or we're good with that?
No, I want to like Cleveland a lot, and I do like the bats because Lorenzen is someone you can certainly take advantage of. He's got one of the higher home runs per 9 on there. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He gives out a fair amount of hard contact. The problem is he's tough to steal on, and I like when Cleveland runs. Like that's where you got to get it where any way you can with Cleveland because they don't have the big home run hitters for the most part. But so I ran 150 like I was going to play, and I got a lot of Cleveland. But I would probably dwindle that down a little bit. But they're fine in that I might put them in Oracle Park, but I'm okay leaving it where it is. And I just want to add also, Pittsburgh has a good stolen base matchup too.
All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit. We got crunch time coming in about 10, 15 minutes or so. Kevin Roth, of course, to give some clarity as far as what's going on there for the White Sox. We got Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, as well as Taylor Smith. You're going to start this one off here, Kirkwood. Our next game on the board, I think one of the bigger games that we have. Houston, pretty big favorite here. The only team with a 5 total taking on Stripling. Arrighetti on the other side. I think Oakland's kind of sneaky as well. I like both these teams to various degrees. What about yourself, Kirkwood? I think, well, you go ahead, and then we'll discuss.
We got breaking news real quick for Kirk Celtics. Donovan Mitchell is out for tonight's game.
Wow. Oh.
Wow.
Not like this. Why? This is how you want to win. This is how you want to put an asterisk on the championship.
Yeah, I didn't bet. The problem is I was going to bet the Celtics first half big, and I didn't bet them yet.
Get your Karos LeVert overs in about if you have like 12 seconds. Otherwise, the window's going to close. Did not expect that. That is surprising. Okay. Kirkwood?
Yeah, so Houston top. I mean, definitely the top. It's Oakland. As long as you're not down to them going into the 9th inning, you're going to get a bullpen that is susceptible to, and Stripling. It just doesn't strike out many guys. Houston should, maybe they fail because of BABIP or whatnot, but they should plenty of upside for them. And I have no interest in Oakland.
Really? So when you say no interest, you're throwing him in the Oakland Coliseum?
No, I'm just I'm not coming. I guess if I was mass entering, I would do some mini stacks with them, and I would probably put them around Tropicana Field. But that's it.
I would put him in Oracle personally. Where would Keith put Houston and Oakland?
I agree with Houston up at PNC. They're one of the top offenses on the slate. Oakland would be Tropicana for me. I like the mini stack. There's a couple of pieces that are interesting. I just don't think they really have the upside.
I think Arrighetti's been a little bit reverse splitsy. You got those Crawford boxes there. I think Rooker's a pretty good play. I like both the catcher punts. Well, I guess the only we got Langoliers and we got Soderstrom. Soderstrom just because he's 2.1K, which is so cheap to get for a competent bat. And Langoliers, it's kind of sneaky right on right. In the Crawford boxes down the left field line. All right, St. Louis, the gutless Cardinals in Anaheim taking on Jose Siriano. Another coin toss. St. Louis slight favorite here with Libiator. Basically, kind of a bullpen game. I don't think it's going to go too long, maybe 3 or 4 innings, something like that, depending on. But this is your board, Keith. St. Louis and the Angels.
Angels, I don't mind chasing some home runs against Liberatore. They're just not a very talented offense, so the stack gets a little bit of a downgrade for me. I don't mind individual pieces. Like Adele is certainly looking good. Taylor Ward is fine against the lefty. Ohapi. Going to be Tropicana for me on the full stack, though. Just concerned about the upside. St. Louis on the other side. They're just so cold this season. It's tough to want to get on board here as well. It's going to be Tropicana for me on St. Louis as well.
By the way, Steve, we democracy 2-1. Oakland goes into Tropicana for what it's worth. Not a huge upgrade, but they're not stuck in their terrible, terrible ballpark. Okay, a few more games here. We got Colorado in San Diego. Padres, pretty big favorite here, minus 220, taking on Dakota Hudson. Randy Vasquez, kind of a chalk SB2 cheap pitcher, taking on the Rockies. Kirkwood, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Colorado, San Diego, where are we going?
San Diego top, Colorado bottom.
What do you got there, Keith? Any issues?
Straightforward, completely agree.
I agree as well. Even if I didn't, we wouldn't move it because you guys are in agreement. By the way, our fifth word in our movie game, we never officially threw out the fifth word, I don't believe. Listen to this scrolling. Yeah, Mountain, Boone, Recall, Air. It's already been won. The prize has already been handed out. But just if you want to get the rep in, the fifth word happens to be Eddie George. Eddie George is the fifth word. There you go.
I just took Celtics minus 6.5 first half.
Was that before the line moved?
No, but it's a point off. FanDuel, it's at 7.5.
All right. I mean,
has Allen
should
officially been rolled out too?
Yeah, Steve, I'm gonna want you to credit me 500 if that's not true, that news. But
Steve is still excited about his Mets last night. The walk-off from Nimmo. Like, nobody watched it because they were watching the Panthers or they were watching basketball, but the Mets had an awesome walk-off last night versus the Braves. All right, Cincinnati versus Arizona. Arizona is minus 160 favorite. Jordan Montgomery. Reds, Arizona. I feel like this game's kind of ignored, but like a pretty good ballpark, and there's no issues as far as weather, obviously. Too cold, too hot. The dome, the roof is closed tonight. Keith, Cincinnati, and your not really, your Arizona Diamondbacks.
Cincinnati, I think Jordan Montgomery is an underrated pitcher. I think Cincinnati is actually going to be, they're not going to be chalk by any means, but they're going to get some ownership. I've got them at Oracle, and I will go Coors for Arizona. Don't mind the matchup there against Ashcraft.
Can we say Montgomery's been bad this year? We can say that, right? Because he's got a 10.5% K rate. That is, I mean, I know the swinging strike rate.
That's not his game, though. He's not a DFS. I would never play him in DFS, but as far as he's a Max Fried type, like a poor man's Max Fried.
And
he also had a really late start to the season. He signed like opening day.
That's a good point. Yeah, well, we'll cut him a break, and that's fair. What do you got here, Kirkwood? Arizona and Cincinnati.
I think that's good. Oracle Park for both of them.
Producer Steve saying, I missed what to credit you, Kirkwood. Kirkwood was just saying basically is if his bet loses, he's going to blame it on Steve. Essentially, what he was saying.
Well, if Donovan Mitchell wasn't actually out,
I just wanted to give him the good news.
No. That was if he wasn't out. I didn't check any of that. I just went right. I was trusting you on the news. So basically, I have you like you're my Woj.
Kirkwood, Kansas City at Seattle, Singer versus Kirby, two of the better pitchers taking the bump tonight. Both these offenses, I think, are going to be mostly neglected. I think rightfully so. Seattle, pretty heavy favorite, minus 154. KC was popular for a while. Again, people are just not going to get to them against Kirby, who's a strike thrower, keeps the ball in the ballpark as well. But yeah, what do you have as far as Seattle and Kansas City offense?
I don't have much interest in either. I would say Kansas City, I would flirt with putting either of them in Oracle, but I probably want them in Tropicana, both of them.
Keith?
I think I would go Coliseum for both of them. There's not enough ownership on, and Singer and Kirby are going to be popular, but it's spread out ownership. If one of them was like 40%, sure, I could understand taking shots on these teams. Kirby, I think, is an elite pitcher. Singer is probably more above average. But I'm not trying to pick on George Kirby here. So I would definitely have Kansas City in Coliseum, and I could be talked into Tropicana for Seattle.
Let's compromise and split the difference. We'll put them both in Tropicana. Let's go ahead with that. The last game, Dodgers. You can get the Dodgers tonight. Pretty unowned, pretty neglected. They can always do their thing despite whatever, the ballpark being San Fran, Jordan Hicks taking on Yamamoto. Dodgers lineup is officially out. It's as expected. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Teoscar Hernandez, Luck, Pajes, and Outman. Keith, the board is yours. The board is yours. Dodgers versus the Giants. Giants a 3.2 team total. Dodgers 4.4.
Yeah, Giants are definitely down in the Coliseum. They're completely banged up. Soler and Conforto on the IL. We're expecting Jung-Hoo Lee to go on the IL as well. Facing the best pitcher on the slate. That's an easy Coliseum for me. Dodgers, I would have up in Coors, an elite offense. I think Jordan Hicks has some skills, but it's the Dodgers. Anytime I can get him at low ownership, I definitely have interest.
Kirkwood, we got the Dodgers in Coors Field, the second tier, and we have the Giants hanging out there with the Rockies in the Oakland Coliseum. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do, and I may just go. I mean, if there's a team that can hit some heat, it's probably the Dodgers. Not the best park, but so I might flirt with them being up at PNC, but I'm fine there at Coors Field because I don't think they're going to be that highly owned.
This is as expected, by the way, as far as our final board here, Kirkwood. Not a lot up top, not a lot down low. All the way up top, the highest ranked ballpark we have is PNC, just 2 teams up there, Houston and San Diego. Next tier, Coors Field, just 4 teams, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and the Dodgers. 5 teams in the middle, Chicago, that's the Cubbies, the Brewers, Texas, Cincy, Arizona. A lot of nonsense there in Tropicana that's playable but doesn't feel great. That's Atlanta, Oakland, the Angels, Boston, Tampa, the Mets, Cards, Kansas City, Seattle, and all the way down there with the Oakland Coliseum is the Giants and the Rockies. The Giants, one of the best ballparks stuck in Oakland because they're taking on Yamamoto. Kirkwood, by the way, you are Kid Yahoo. I see that the Yahoo slate apparently closes in 20 minutes, locks in 20 minutes. They're including some of the early games. Do you have anything to add content-wise? I don't even know who's playing those games. I'm not playing.
It's Corbin Burns against Barrios, so it's not the best spot for hitters in either of those spots. And then it's Sixto Sanchez against the Detroit. Problem is the Tigers' bats are priced up. So you do want to attack some Sixto, I think, but it's not. I in my main lineup, I have nothing from either game.
Crunch time here in just a second. I do want to get this out here for the people. Start loading up your questions. If not in the YouTube, first load them up in the Discord channel. That's where Roth is going to go first. But there was a question for Keith, and I think earlier in the show you said your favorite tournament play is Baum. Brian's asking DK tournaments, Machado or Baum, and I guess if you're going to stick to that story. Alec Baum was your favorite tournament play of the day, correct?
Yes, indeed he is. I will stick with it.
And do we want to give out a homer or two before we yield to crunch time? Do we have any Juggalo bombs for the people? Kirkwood, I know you're ready. You're prepared for this. You've been on this show before. Any Juggalo bombs for the people?
Let's pass it to Dave. Dave is here. He's waiting. He's gonna come on and give the home run calls for tonight, I think.
Is that our seamless segue to crunch time?
I'll give you some. I'll give you a quick ones. I think Cleveland's in a good spot tonight, and I'm getting more of them. So I think Jose Ramirez would be the top option, or Naylor. Both of them are a good chance for a home run. And kind of an off the board, I think we're talking about Pittsburgh we like. And so I guess Szewinski would be the off the board one. But if I really wanted to bet it, I would be taking Brian Reynolds over him. But either of those guys are good.
Keith, you got anything?
We talked about Alec Boehm enough. He is certainly one of my favorites. I like him to hit a home run tonight. I really think Manaya's home run regression is about to hit. And then I like Cubs lefties against Ronaldo Lopez. I know he's been outstanding this season, but he's struggled with lefty power in his career at many times. Cody Bellinger he's really cheap on FanDuel. Love him there. I don't mind the DK price either at 4,900, but I will take Cody Bellinger for a home run.
All right, we made crunch time wait a few extra minutes here, but they're good to go. They're ready to go. They're coming up in the bullpen. Here comes crunch time. All right, Kevin Roth, I don't know if you saw, you're not going to like this. 7-10 is first pitch tonight. 7-10.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
7-10.
I hate it.
Yeah, I saw your face, but I couldn't really hear you. But there you go. We got the
Yeah,
mic.
I always forget to drag the mic out in front of me, but that's not great. And the Chicago game's not great, and life isn't great, and it's just nothing's great, Dean.
Well, I mean, big picture.
I'm actually fine. I didn't mean to bring it
Having
down.
a bad day? You need a hug, man? You need a hug?
I just don't know what the hell's happening with this weather, and I'm a little stressed out about it, really.
I don't think a lot of us care a ton about it. Well, we'll see. I'm curious what Dave is going to say, what Taylor is going to say. I don't care a ton, and maybe I'm wrong to not care a ton about it, but I don't care. Did you want to touch on the wasn't like the Northern Lights thing like last Friday? Did you get a chance to talk about that on air just yet, or no? Did you go outside?
I told people that night. I told everyone, I was like, you need to go check this out. It's going to be life-changing and once in a lifetime. And at least one person listened to me because my guy Dave Potts, you saw it, right, Cheese? Sort of.
It was awesome. I mean, I live in Alabama. It was like, questionable if we would get them here. So about 10:30, me and Mrs. Cheese went outside, and she actually texted all the neighbors, and like the whole neighborhood came out. Buddy the dog from next door came out, and we all saw the Northern Lights. And I sent Kevin a picture. It was there. It was actually just absolutely magical. Weather for
what was Buddy's takeaway?
He was very excited, as per always. He's a very excitable fellow. Yeah,
fair enough. We don't have a Friday, Taylor, the Fashion Friday for Taylor. We got Casual Monday, Taylor. But
That's
Taylor, right. I'm guessing you didn't get. I didn't get the lights down here in Florida. You probably didn't get them in California, I imagine.
No, I know they got them a little bit north of me, but we went out to see and didn't see a damn thing. So thanks a lot, Roth.
Sorry. It's worth a shot. Like it's supposed to be Northern Canada that usually sees it, so it's pretty good.
All right, let's step aside and get out of here. Let's make way for crunch time. Myself, Kirkwood, and Keith, we do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Now hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. By the way, Movie Monday, if you didn't guess at this point, so it's already been paid off. It was Remember the Titans, if you're still curious. It's popped up several times in chat. But that was the movie for today. That's it. We're stepping aside. We're making our way for Kevin Roth. He's going to tell us, I guess, not great news about Chicago or just kind of a big old shrug. We'll see. Roth, take it away.
Yeah, good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. You know the drill. It's crunch time. Bringing on two of the sharpest minds in the biz, helping to walk you through the slate. We got my guy Taylor in the house. What up, Taylor?
Not much. Yeah, it's kind of a big Monday slate, and there's really not a lot of clarity on the hitting side in particular, but maybe we can find some clarity together.
Well, I'm not finding it. I'll tell you that. We'll get to a weather update in just a bit. We got Dave Potts. Cheese is good in the house as well. Cheese, how are you, good sir?
Oh, I'm great. Yeah, I'm not going to help you find clarity either, but I feel fantastic about it.
Okay, we'll take that. That's all we need. Quick weather update here. We've got the game in Chicago. I kind of just thought at this point they'd call it. Like it's going to be tough, but it's also maybe not impossible. Maybe they get a little clearing and they start, and then they get a delay, and then they finish. Like it's, I guess, doable in shitty weather. Maybe. I was really hoping and expecting an early postpone call, and not getting it is kind of rattled me a little. It's not a safe play, I'll tell you that. But if you got something that you want, if you got something that you love in that game, Cheese, do we have anything that we want and love?
Definitely not love, but it's a little tricky. I mean, like Washington bats were definitely in the mix. If nothing else, Eddie Rosario would have been pretty chalky on DK. I don't like it enough to play. Like I took everything out. I don't have a single thing on that game because it's like everything is in the same group. Like that's in the top tier, but so are like 14 other teams.
Okay.
And it's just not a good enough spot to want to risk even a moderate postponement risk or a moderate play a few innings and postpone. It did not hurt my feelings at all to just X that game out.
Okay. Well, that is kind of what I recommend. If you're playing tournaments and you're like, oh, I can get, the Nationals bats now probably at lower ownership that I was going to earlier, then by all means, I'm not calling you crazy for doing it. But if you're looking for the safe play, I don't think that's it. Also, keep in mind this game is after lock, so it adds a little bit of uncertainty because I don't really know what radar is going to look like as well as I do for the games that happen at lock. But I'll keep you updated. I'll give another update here before we hit lock, and then another update before first pitch. So I will. I'll try to keep you updated. But right now, quite frankly, I don't know, and I hope to figure it out. But right now, strongly in the I don't know camp. With that out of the way, it is the only weather concern, which is kind of nice. I expect some rain in Atlanta, but it's not enough rain to stop them. I think they're just going to play through some late inning rain. And with all that set aside, Cheese, let's kind of dive into the slate. We like to start with the pitchers.
Yeah, pitcher is a lot clearer than hitting is, where you just throw everything at the wall. But on the pitching side, I think the pretty heavy chalk is going to end up being Yamamoto with a cheap Randy Vasquez on DK, with George Kirby and Brady Singer also picking up a pretty fair amount of ownership. In cash games, I would play Yamamoto. And honestly, I think there's enough value bats that I would play George Kirby with him. But I am fine with Vasquez. But the big picture for me is like the best pitcher of all time at 7% ownership. I'll take it. Do you know who I'm talking about? Who is the best pitcher literally that has ever lived based on 7 starts? Shota Imanaga.
Yeah.
He's facing the Braves, which is obviously a tougher matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're projecting him at 7% ownership on DK, and he is as good as Kirby, Yamamoto, and Singer. I think he might be better. We don't know yet. Like we don't know where this guy's going to end up. At the very worst, he's great.
Okay.
And if all these guys were the same price, same matchup, same salary, I would play Imanaga first for sure.
Right.
Now, with the matchup, yeah, sure, I guess I like Yamamoto better. Great. But at, I don't know, 5 times the ownership? No. Imanaga is my highest owned player by far. It's not even remotely close.
Can we talk about the Braves real quick? I know they can put up a lot of runs, but do they strike out a lot? Do they at least have strikeout upside?
It's a pretty neutral-ish strikeout matchup. They're not a high strikeout team, but they've got some. And they're, Austin Riley's out tonight. It adds another little easy out at the bottom of the order. Mm-hmm. But really, outside of Yamamoto against the Giants, and Singer gets a strikeout boost against Seattle, but like the matchups are not wildly different. Certainly not for Kirby and Imanaga. I just love the ownership. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. How about some other names for me?
So the mid-tier is kind of getting squeezed out. I have very little in the mid-tier. I think it's totally fine to play. I think I have a very small sprinkle of Christopher Sanchez. Jose Soriano is just slightly more expensive than Vasquez, but I do prefer Vasquez there. I have 0 Ronaldo Lopez. I didn't end up with any Cutter Crawford, which I kind of like Crawford. I just didn't get there. I have a couple of Zach Eflin. But really, this mid-tier for me, I don't know. The salaries, what it gets you just doesn't help me that much. Mm-hmm. We're looking at like Arrighetti for Houston, Sean Manaea, Trevor Williams, if that game were to play. It's all very blah. And I would just rather play Vasquez than those guys and just have that extra salary, even with, moderate chalk on Vasquez, but it's not like he's going to be 40% owned because there's so many good pitchers. So really, I have very little below Singer, between Singer and Vasquez, basically.
Okay. Very good. I guess, Taylor, I'll kick it over to you and get your thoughts here. A lot of good pitchers, a lot of pitchers to spend up on. Do you have kind of a couple favorites here?
Yeah, I'm getting mostly Kirby on DK. The discount from Yamamoto is $1,500, so that's helpful. KC is not an easy matchup, but he is at home. Good park. He's just good in general, so I'm fine with the discount on him. Yamamoto looks good too. I certainly get the Vasquez thing because it is Colorado at home. Hey, the White Sox Nationals game is postponed. How about that?
Wait, did that just happen?
It sure did.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. That's the shit I'm talking about. Now my day is turned around. Now we can have a good time. I'm going to tweet that out. Oh, that feels great.
That's the only thing that could have cooled this Eddie Rosario hot streak. Right.
Oh, I'm so glad. I was just so confused as to what the hell they were trying to do. All right, that makes so much more sense. Okay, sorry. Keep going with pitcher thoughts.
Yeah, I'm mostly eating the chalk. The Vasquez thing is just that he's 6K at home against the Rockies, so completely fine and understandable. I'm not sure if we have that Rockies lineup yet, but we only had two lefties in it. The projected lineup, it is out, and there were only.
I don't think we need the lineup.
There are three.
Yeah, we do have
so it. Changes everything. One guy I'm getting a decent amount of, and I don't like it, is Sean Manaea. Both pitchers in the Phillies-Mets game are kind of interesting. It's a good park. This Phillies lineup without Schwarber, Turner, and Real Muto is pretty watered down. Manaea is only 7.2 on DK. He's okay enough in real life. And the park is good. So he's kind of popping for me a little bit as the number one cheap guy behind Vasquez. So I don't mind that in a tournament. Sanchez for 7.9 also in the SP2 conversation on DK. Otherwise, I'm pretty much just sticking with the Kirby, Yamamoto, Singer, Vasquez group.
The amount of people who want me to go drink a bunch of beers and take shots now, and you don't have to twist my arm very hard. So I'm strongly considering this. I got to get this tweet out. Let's talk about some of the stacks here. Cheese, you kind of mentioned right off the top, there's nothing great out there, but there's at least a tier. So Taylor, I will let you lead us off here. What is the tier?
It's kind of in the eye of the beholder, I think. There's certainly not an obvious top stack. No one stands out too much. I think San Diego at home against Dakota Hudson might garner some ownership just kind of by default. Hudson is more of a ground ball guy than anything, not a big strikeout guy. He's bad, I guess, is what you could say.
That's fair to say.
Yeah. So San Diego, maybe Houston against Ross Stripling. He's one of the weaker pitchers on the slate. Houston at home, decent enough park for home runs. The Nationals were going to be pretty chalky, obviously not anymore. I guess the Rays at Fenway is something people could be into against Cutter Crawford, but that's not even a great spot. Certainly not the Red Sox against Eflin in the same game. It's kind of hard to parse, so I kind of just think you play whoever you want. Maybe the Pirates against Colin Ray on the road garner some momentum, especially the lefties against Ray. Otherwise, yeah, there's really no clarity at all. So you kind of just play your favorites and go from there.
Okay, wonderful. Geez, we're going straight blender. We're, play whoever you want. Play whoever you want. Who do you want? Who do you want to play, Geez?
Yeah, I mean, it really is that. So I do think Houston and San Diego are kind of chalk is not the word to use. I think they'll be probably the two most popular, and they're probably the most likely to not be terrible. But there's a whole bunch of games where some of these nonsense teams are going to score like 12 runs, just kind of out of nowhere. And I'll tell you my favorites, but it's not with strong conviction. It's pretty much more you're just playing hunches on this slate because it is so spread out. Oakland is definitely my favorite cheap team. And I like Pittsburgh quite a bit as well. The Angels are in that mix. And then expensive teams that won't be owned enough would be the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rangers. Yeah. And then everything else. Like I said in the musings, my first 10 lineups will have 10 stacks. I think it was more like my first 14 lineups had 14 different stacks.
Wow.
I do not have a strong take. If I only had one lineup, it would be Oakland, for the record.
Oh, okay. So Eric said, are the A's a nonsense team? And the answer is absolutely not then, I suppose.
I would guess they're my highest owned stack. They're certainly, if not, very close to it.
Okay. Very good. Guys, excellent stuff.
And yes, they're a nonsense team. The answer
The A's are a nonsense team, just not today.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Me saying I have the most of them doesn't make them not a nonsense team at all.
We like nonsense around these parts. Okay, very good. Good job, pitchers. Good job, stacks. Let's go around the horn. We like to start with some catcher talk and Cheese. you get the honor of leading us off.
All right. So the position by position is going to be a lot like Stack Talk. I mean, it's so muddled, and essentially nobody outside of maybe a couple outfielders, nobody is fantastic on this slate, which leads me more to stacking everything. There's very few people that I just love as one-offs. So most of my one-offs are either a couple of really expensive guys or just cheap nonsense. At catcher, I will say Logan O'Hoppe is kind of a Langelier and some Tyler Stevenson. I also have a crazy amount of Tyler Soderstrom, but honestly more at first base. That's how dumb this slate is, that a $2,100 catcher on DraftKings is in my first base slot. And that should tell you everything you need to know about how just all over the place this slate is.
Okay. Taylor, you got anything different?
Yeah, I think you just play the catcher in your stack, honestly. Will Smith if you're playing the Dodgers, Langelier or Soderstrom if you're playing the A's. Bo Naylor looks decent on DK against Michael Lorenzen as a part of the Cleveland stack. It's not a great position, obviously. William Contreras, kind of the one super expensive guy, but Brewers against Mitch Keller don't look fantastic or anything. So yeah, it's kind of gross. I just think there's not really a catcher to one off. So just plop them into your stack, I think.
Okay. How about first base, Taylor?
First base. Bryce Harper, even lefty against Manaya, is going to look great, even in that ballpark. Josh Naylor, I mentioned Bo Naylor at catcher. Josh Naylor at first base looks fine against Lorenzen. Paul Goldschmidt, unfortunately, someone that I'm getting to a little bit on DK, is only 4K. He's been in a horrible slump, but Jose Soriano's not the most imposing pitcher, walks a lot of guys. Park upgrade for the Cardinals, too. So he looks decent to me. I kind of like the Reds against Jordan Montgomery, just not missing bats against righties. Spencer Steer being the first base / outfield option on DK for Cincinnati, you can target. I think Matt Carpenter's leading off again for the Cardinals, so that's something to consider on DK, first and third base for 2-5.
Save that for Cheese, okay? Save that one for Cheese.
Ohtani is back in the lineup after sitting out yesterday, so by all means play him if you want against Jordan Hicks. Don't mind John Singleton as a value, although he might be somewhat popular, just because Houston might be somewhat popular. And then Soderstrom we mentioned already, but punt on DK looks pretty good.
Okay. Cheese, are we punting with a dirt cheap carp? Are we going to see the carp GIF on your Twitter account? Is that happening tonight?
Probably after the third home run. So really, he should be a huge pinch hit risk, except when you look at the Cardinals roster, they don't really have any righties left. So I think he's going to play. There's going to be lefties in this game for the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's okay. I mean, so yes, I think you do play him as a punt. I like him better at third. I think it's close between first and third. But there's a lot of ways to go cheap at first. Taylor mentioned several of them. Along with Carpenter, we've got John Singleton is my favorite. And again, the Tyler Soderstrom thing. That's more of a Oakland stack, so you can play both him and the Frenchman. The expensive stuff is
the Frenchman Langelier or Langoliers?
Yeah. You know what I mean. You get it.
Just the fact that his actual name is Langoliers, and we've just started giving him this French pronunciation, and now we're just referring to him as the Frenchman is phenomenal.
It is great. I love Ohtani. It's going to be one of the lower owned Ohtani spots of the year. And I like Spencer Steer and Christian Walker as spend ups in that game as well.
Okay. I'm just looking at John Singleton. Just every time I see that man, I just think he hits the ball really far. He just I think he hits multiple home runs.
He means business. Yeah.
He certainly looks like he does. All right, second base, Cheese. What do we got?
It doesn't seem like a priority spend up spot, but then again, neither does anything on this slate. Altuve would definitely be the guy if you got money sitting around. I have moderate interest in the other spend up guys like Semien, Ketel Marte, and Jimenez mostly. I I think on DK, Gorman and Abraham Toro are my mid-tier guys, and Whit Merrifield, just a couple bucks less than that. You can punt pretty much any position you want to. Here it would be Nico Goodrum or maybe Kyron Paris. Those are two Angels bats. And then I want to mention on FanDuel where Jimenez is only 3K. I think he's a little bit more of a standout there.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at second?
It's kind of crazy that it's early mid-May and the Angels are already trotting out Nico Goodrum and Kyron Paris and guys like that every night. Down bad. That's what they are, I think.
Yeah.
Kevin Pillar, cleanup
Kevin
hitter. You don't
Pillar.
like that?
It's not ideal. But what are you going to do? So the Imanaga thing, he was homer prone in Japan. He's the fly ball guy. In theory, he's going to give up home runs. He hasn't really been doing that yet. I'm getting to some Braves just because it's the Braves, and I don't think anyone's really playing them on this slate. So Albies from the right side is a guy I'm getting to a decent amount for 5.3 on DK. Otherwise, I'm probably saving with Toro. Bryce Terang, not super cheap, but leading off against Keller, I think is decent. Jonathan India, we just got that lineup. He's leading off for the Reds. He's only 3.7 on DK. I mentioned Montgomery's strikeout struggles against righties, so he looks decent enough. And Nolan Gorman hitting in the middle of the Cardinals lineup, another cheap guy. I don't mind against Soriano for St. Louis.
Okay. That brings us to third base. Taylor, what do you like?
Well, here's Matt Carpenter again popping up. If you don't like that, you can pay a bit more for Arenado, although that doesn't feel too appealing. Michael Garcia against Kirby if you want the leverage play at third base, hitting leadoff. This is a pretty disgusting position. Jose Ramirez at the top. Certainly Alex Bregman, I guess, if you're stacking the Astros. Jeimer Candelario, maybe kind of a value righty, assuming he got in there for the Reds. He did. There's really not a lot to like at third base, which is why Carpenter might be pseudo popular, especially on DK.
Cheese, you got anything that you like there at third?
I do like the overpriced, I will say, Alec Bohm. It's such a weird salary, like in between Devers and Jose Ramirez. Same with Max Muncy and Manny Machado. Like, I don't love any of these guys, but I feel like because of the salaries, it's just crazy low ownership on good hitters. So I do like spending up here at least a little bit. And along with Carpenter's a cheap guy, I have a fair amount of Brett Harris. Anytime you get the number 9 hitter for Oakland, you got to do that.
Gotta lock that in on the nightly. Yeah. All right. How about shortstop?
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't even have to know that much about baseball to know that's a great play.
Obviously. Yeah. All right. Shortstop. Usually you talk about how awesome shortstop is. And I feel like despite the fact that every other position kind of sucks, you like shortstop.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And what's super interesting and weird and great about it is none of the usual suspects are popular at all. I think the chalkiest play on the whole slate is probably O'Neal Cruz, who I love. I love O'Neal Cruz tonight. But that leaves Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz, Bobby Witt, Corey Seager unowned, kind of like the Ohtani thing. I mean, we're talking like 5% of these just superstar hitters because everyone's playing O'Neal Cruz. Spend up to be different. Like it's a great time for it. I put Betts at the top of my list, Seager second, Ellie third, Witt fourth, but all 4 of them are great. And O'Neal Cruz is great too. Like this is a fantastic play.
You better say he's
definitely
pointing at you. He should
be.
Yeah.
But I feel like if he hits a homer and steals 2 bases, 3 of these other guys beat that still. Like that's how good this position is. And it's definitely one of those double shortstop FanDuel kind of nights. So I am on board with O'Neal Cruz chalk. Like I think it's a very good play. And he's considerably cheaper than those other guys. But yes, this is a great spend up to be different.
Yeah. Derek in the chat pointing out Witt, he says Witt gets like 25 DK points every other night. Yeah,
He's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
As are Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz. Like,
yeah,
when you get those kind of bats at no ownership, you do it.
yeah. That's how you win. Taylor, what are you doing there at short? I assume you're getting the good bats.
Yeah, getting the good bets. O'Neill Cruz, Bobby Witt, Willie Adames looks okay enough. He's relatively cheap compared to some of the others toward the high end. Pena, if you're stacking Houston, hitting cleanup for them. Mookie Betts, by all means, play Mookie Betts. Ellie De La Cruz not hitting from his preferred side of the plate, but again, Montgomery's just not missing bats against righties, and Ellie De La Cruz is another guy that scores 25 DK points every other night, so looks terrific to me. Orlando Arcia is okay as a part of a Brave stack just because he's cheaper than most of the other good stuff, hitting 6th. Zach Neto in an Angels stack, Jose Caballero in a Rays stack. Yeah, there's a lot to like at shortstop.
Cheese, do you remember what Caballero means?
I remember, like, it's from, like, there's the Disney movie. I can picture the 3 guys with the but no, remind me.
I think cowboy, maybe gentleman and or cowboy.
Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Because as soon as you ask that, like, I picture it's like 3, like, then they're holding their hats up, and
those are amigos, I believe. Are you talking about the 3 amigos?
No. We do this before. I'm gonna look. There
we go. Gentleman, Cavalier, or Knight. Every time I hear that name, it makes me.
So there's a Disney movie called The 3 Caballeros, and it's 3 like ducks. It's a duck, a chicken, and a bird with hats.
What?
Yeah,
right.
Can confirm.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Somebody did not confuse that with the 3 amigos. Do not throw that on.
When you said they had hats, I was like, you mean the 3 amigos?
A lot of people have hats, Kevin.
Yeah. Taylor, why don't you walk me through the outfield while I Google the 3 Caballeros over here?
Happy to do so. Yeah, so Houston, obviously the lefties are going to look great. Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker at the top. Let's see. Tampa Bay, not a bad stack at Fenway. Rosarena, Josh Lowe hitting 2 and 3. The A's we've been talking about. JJ Bleday hitting 2nd. Brent Rooker hitting 3rd. Reasonably priced around the industry as always. Seth Brown's only 2,800 on DK now. Decent value option over there. Getting to Acuna quite a bit just because I mentioned the Braves thing with Imanaga's potential home run issues. As of now, they're just a theory, but hopefully they'll become a reality at some point. Pirates, lefties in particular, are going to look good against Colin Ray, Brian Reynolds, and Jack Sawinski hitting toward the top of the lineup. McCutchen leading off, don't mind that, even righty-righty. Corbin Carroll in an Arizona stack, ditto for Lourdes Gurriel. They look decent enough. I'm getting to some of the Cubs against Reynaldo Lopez, Bellinger, and Happ with a platoon advantage look decent. Your boy Lars Nootbaar once again.
It would be just as exciting if it was Nars Lutbar. Like
Lutbar, yeah, I'd still play him.
Bars Lutnar, yeah, he's a decent play I think on this slate. And our boy Kevin Pillar hitting cleanup for the Angels as expected.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield. And I should note, we really have to speed this up because there's only 25 freaking minutes until lock. Good God. What are we doing? Anywho, what are we doing in the outfield, Cheese? Dean says he was this close to going with 3 Caballeros for Movie Monday. I don't believe you, sir. All right. What are we doing in the outfield?
We're playing Alvarez and Tucker with everybody else. Play O'Neill Cruz, Alvarez, and Tucker, and then you can have the same lineup as everybody else, but it's a really good lineup. Tatis and Ohtani they're not different, but less owned than the Houston guys, at least I think. Taylor mentioned Pittsburgh. I do think Reynolds is probably fairly chalky in that mid-tier, but I like him as well. I like Castellanos in that kind of price range as well. Brent Rooker on his own as well as in stacks. Look at my sheet. It's hard to read my writing some days. Yeah, all the cheap stuff, the Oakland bats. Joe Adele, fairly cheap still. I think that's enough names to mention. There's always a ton of outfielders, but that's what's kind of standing out to me.
Okay. We're going to need some home run picks. We're going to need to talk about dinner. We need to talk about life. We have to talk about whatever the hell we can to eat up some time. We will also, of course, take questions. If we run out of questions, we might just end the show early since there's no weather issues. But let's do some home run picks. Cheese, I know that's your favorite part of the whole show.
You do know that, indeed. All right. So we'll go with Yordan Alvarez for the expensive, obvious one, Brent Rooker for the mid-tier, and something a little different. You'll think I'm joking, but I'm not. Kyron Paris.
Okay. I don't think you're joking. I don't even know that's a real person. But I don't think you joke like that. Taylor, you got a few names for me?
Yeah, let's go Marcell Ozuna at the top. Jack Suwinski a little bit cheaper than that. And then give me Nolan Gorman among the cheapies.
Okay. Who wins tonight? We got some questions coming in. We're going to just eat a little bit of time. Who wins tonight, OKC or Dallas? Cheese, you are obviously the NBA expert. Oklahoma City, they're the Thunder. They've got SGA, and then Dallas has this guy named Luka, and they're battling it out.
So this must be tough for you. You like Dallas, right? But they're facing a weather team.
Yeah, it is.
Are you torn at all?
Very conflicted. Yeah.
It seems pretty. Well, let me ask you this: who's better?
I think Luka is, but Luka is also
better? Which team is better? That's the one I think is
probably the Thunder. Yeah,
I'll
probably.
go Thunder.
The thing about Luka is he's just the most annoying person to root for ever because he just constantly bitches, every play. He could hit a 3-point step back, most beautiful thing ever, and he's still bitching about it, and that just makes him really, really unlikable.
I'm glad you say that because I don't like. I've never once watched a Dallas Mavericks game since he's been on the team. I watched one way back in the day when they won with Dirk. I don't think I've watched a game since then. But when I see the highlights, I don't think, you don't get Michael Jordan vibes of like this guy. I got to watch this guy play. This is amazing.
No, he's incredible skills wise, but man, he's annoying. This is a good meme by Steve. Luka's going to stat pad the entire half while Kyrie watches, and then Kyrie tries to win it in the second half while Luka watches. That has been kind of happening in this playoffs.
So does Kyrie play for Dallas?
He does, yeah. And when they paired these two, people
has he played there for a long time?
I think it's his second year, maybe.
Well, there you go. Good for him.
Yeah, it's actually going better than most people thought. Taylor, you are actually an NBA fan and analyst and other such things. Who you got tonight?
I feel like this is not the most compelling series. I can't say I've watched a single second of it. I think the games have been decent, but I'll take OKC just because I feel like the teams that always look like they're on the verge of dying seem to bounce back, just like we saw yesterday. So
yes, 100%. People overreact to every playoff basketball game. Every time a team wins, they're like, the other team's buried.
Oh, the Nuggets are cooked.
Yeah, every freaking time. It's like, this is just the rhythm of basketball. It's how it goes, man. All right, I think we bought some time to get some real questions in, like this one, which says, rank your favorite ice creams. We've done that. Cheese, I know you are an ice cream lover. Do you have an ice cream you don't like? And then we're going to open it up to baseball questions. Cheese, do you have an ice cream you don't like?
Not really, although I don't really like coffee ice cream. Even though I like coffee and I like ice cream, I guess I would say that's not my thing.
That's a good. Okay, I don't like coffee, and I also don't like coffee ice cream, but that's interesting. Taylor, do you have an ice cream flavor you do not like?
Do not like. I'm not really into the nutty ones. I think Rocky Road might have nuts in it. I do love coffee ice cream, though. I am going to be contrarian.
Look at that! Another person says Rocky Road is trash.
There we go. Our boy Devin.
Wow. Okay. Another, I like coffee, but I think that said don't like coffee ice cream. I like coffee ice cream, but but I don't love it. Mint chocolate chip used to be my favorite, and then my wife said it just tastes like toothpaste, And now every time I have anything mint, I'm like, damn it. Now I just taste toothpaste.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, but it's kind of ruined it for me. And I'm sorry that I passed that along.
But it's delicious toothpaste, though.
Yeah, it is. It's very good toothpaste. All right, let's get to some baseball questions here. We'll start with Boss Bruh, and I'll scroll up a little if we're trying to find it. Hey, Cheese, thoughts on a Seattle stack? Singer isn't the same on the road, and they hit bombs.
I mean, in that sense that like everything on this slate is very close to a tie. I don't like it, but it's absolutely viable.
Okay. A lot of people big on cookie dough, and that's yeah, cookie dough. Like the Oreo, what's that? Cookies and cream. It's good. Just you really throw in some textures into the ice cream, and we're cooking with fire at that point. What else do we have here? Oh, we got all kinds of questions. I don't need to kill time. Razzle Dazzle says, your favorite DK Cash outfielder, Taylor, 3,800 or less. DK Cash outfield, 3,800 or less.
3,800 or less. It's probably an A. Blade, perhaps. Sawinski. Yeah, Sawinski.
Okay. Taylor, back to you. DK GPP, a one-off. Jimenez or Marte?
Is that Eloy Jimenez? Because they're not playing, so not him.
Andres.
Oh, Andres Jimenez? Yeah, him.
Okay. All right. Hey, we should note, by the way, this show's free. All of this ice cream advice you're getting, this is free, believe it or not. So all that we ask is that you hit that thumbs up for us. We're just getting the interaction, getting the views up, and that's it. You don't have to pay. You just got to hit a thumbs up. That's all. It's a simple request. We've got some good strategy questions coming in, which I like as well. FanDuel cash question, Cheese, J-Ram or Alec Baum? Boom.
Ramirez in cash.
What? Wow. Okay. I didn't see that coming, honestly. Sean says, hey, Cheese, is Lars Nootbaar good as a tournament pitcher? As Chop stated in the expert survey, he will be low owned.
Great job, Chop.
Yeah.
Lars Nootbaar is good for a hitter. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Taylor, FanDuel cash 3v3. Yamamoto, Arez? That might be Arez, but it just says Arez.
Probably Arez.
Or Brady, Singer, Altuve, and Baum.
Second one, I think, sounds a little better.
Okay. Back to you here again, Taylor. Is it okay to go Singer, Kirby, and DK Cash? I usually don't like having pitchers facing one another.
Yeah, I think that's fine. They're two of the better options, and you're saving from Yamamoto, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. Sean says, Cheese, Yelich or Alvarez in a FanDuel GPP? Got some strategy questions coming up soon.
Alvarez.
Cheese, convince me why Kirby is a better play than Singer tonight.
I mean, it's very close, but quite simply, Kirby is a better pitcher. Like, it's that simple. Like, the matchup is a little better for Singer, but Kirby's just a better pitcher.
Okay. Taylor, DK GPP, Ford or Stevenson in a Cincy stack?
Probably Stevenson from the right side against Montgomery.
Okay. DK Cash catcher, Taylor?
DK Cash catcher. Langelier, probably.
Nice. Cheese, we're going to do this question, then we'll jump into some strategy stuff. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, it's a 3v3. Merrifield, Toro, Rooker, or Jimenez, Bregman, Pena?
I mean, I like that first one better, but realistically for Cash, do the other side with the two Houston bats and Jimenez.
Okay. Let's see, just scrolling back up to where some of these kind of tournament questions were here. This isn't one, but I do like the question. Cheese, which contrarian stack do you prefer, Mariners with Julio or Royals with Witt?
I mean, I prefer the Mariners full stack, but I prefer Witt over Julio. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Okay. I did find the strategy questions. We'll start with Devon's. This is stuff I know nothing about because my bankroll, like I play a $1 tournament a day, like just to try to know what's happening. The question is, Cheese and Taylor, Would you consider playing 5% of your bankroll in one single entry tournament, or is that too much?
I would personally recommend against it. I 5% of your entire bankroll for an entire day, I think, is too much, honestly. Much less in one tournament.
Okay, Taylor?
Yeah, I think it's better if you're going to play that much your bankroll to diversify in a contest and spread them out between probably a multi-entry tournament like a 20 max or a 150 max. 20. I mean, you don't have to max under a 150 max. I just think having more lineups in gives you more upside and lowers your risk than putting it all in one lineup in one contest.
Yeah. Or even if you like the single entry, take that 1-to-1 and enter the 12 and the 10 and the 25 single entry. So you've got it a little more spread out.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Samuel, another good strategy question here. Taylor, I'll let you start. With a slate this big, how important is ownership? I feel like it depends on the slate, because sometimes big slates have chalk, and maybe this slate doesn't, but I will let you answer. I didn't mean to speak for you.
Yeah, this specific slate, I don't think it matters at all. I'm just kind of building what I like, and I think it will be low owned enough and have enough, differentiators to get to the top. In theory, the shorter the slate, the more ownership and the more I'm willing to go against chalk, obviously. But on a slate like this, I don't really see the need to go after Kirby or go after Vasquez even, or Yamamoto. I just think you play what you like, and ownership's not really a huge factor today.
Okay, great. Let's see. Just back to some standard questions here. We're about 10 minutes until lock. Good Lord. We've eaten. How does Dean do it? How does Dean eat like a 2-hour show every day?
Have you ever heard him talk?
That's true. No, you're right. Good point. Cheese, FanDuel Cash, J-Ram or Tatis? Cheese.
Oh man, that's a good one. Goodness. Give me J-Ram.
Who is the FanDuel Cash pitcher? That's always a good question. I feel like there might be a few options, but Cheese, do you have one that stands?
Yeah, it's not like wildly straightforward, but like Yamamoto would be ideal, but I think the savings down to Kirby is very useful there. So I would lean Kirby.
Okay. Taylor, you mentioned you don't particularly care about ownership here, but who will be lower owned on DK? A 5-man Padre stack or a 5-man A stack?
That's tough because I kind of feel like with the Nationals gone, the A's are going to become not chalk, but more popular. And the Padres being more expensive might make them a bit less popular than a team like Houston, for example. So I would guess the Padres maybe are a little less owned, but again, I don't think it's really a huge difference.
Okay. Mr. Richard says, Taylor, my top 2 stacks are Oakland and Pittsburgh by a mile. Am I crazy?
You are certainly not.
Very good. Cheese, thoughts on Cutter Crawford versus the Rays?
Yeah, I didn't get to him, but he's a very good pitcher, and the matchup is fine. I would not talk you off of him at all. I can only say that I didn't get to him.
Yeah. Okay. DePrince says FanDuel, Cheese, Imanaga, the greatest pitcher of all time, Kirby or Singer to win it all.
It's Imanaga for me.
But I mean, you play the best pitcher of all time if presented that option. Let's see. Demigod says second base, FanDuel Cash tournament. He's got 3-2 left. Cheese, FanDuel Cash tournament. I don't know what that means.
So I saw the question, and there's no decimal point. He has 32,000. So take Mookie Betts 7 times, and you will win. That's Jimenez.
Okay, very good. Taylor, back to you. Pollock says Cruz, Pena, or Adames in single entry.
It's probably Cruz.
Our guy Butho Jenkins says Dean is 85% nonsense and 15% actual topical information. I usually only tune into the end of shows, and that ratio sounds about right. But I figured just towards the end of shows, it veered off. Maybe the whole show is that. I don't know. Let's see. Cheese, who gives the better right hook, J-Ram or Odor? This is great because they both connected.
Oh, you do not want to get in a scrap with Odor.
No,
that's the guy.
He's a feisty feller. No doubt. What do we got? Some more questions coming in the old Discord. By the way, have I mentioned there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium? You got all kinds of sports going on, an option for whatever tier, whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price $469.99. That's a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months. You should totally do that. Don't buy 6 individual months. Get the big combo there. You can also get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off for a limited time. And if you want a test run, you get a 3-day pass for $19.99. So we got good things happening. Some questions in the Discord. Alonso or Cronenworth? Sorry, I'm fading here. Taylor, FanDuel GPP, Alonso and Cronenworth, or Alvarez and Singleton?
The right answer is Alvarez Singleton. It will also be the far more popular duo.
Okay. J Sam says, Cheese, if building one lineup, which Oakland A would you leave out? Blade or Soder Baby?
Tyler Soderstrom. I would play Blade, so leave out Soder Baby.
Okay. Is that like a Santa Baby thing? What is that?
I do not speak for J Sams. I appreciate the questions, but
I do not.
I'm not going to throw on him that he is making a Santa Baby comparison reference.
Yeah.
He might.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Sean says, Cheese, what do you think of an Astros A's game stack and a FanDuel GPP? I'll tell you what he thinks about that. Cheese thinks game stacks don't exist. If you like both teams, you play both teams. But that is not a game stack. It's not because one team scores more, another team scores more. This ain't football. This ain't basketball. These are two completely separate teams. If you want to stack both individually, you go ahead and do that. But it's sure as shit. We ain't calling it a game stack. That's one thing we are not doing.
And that's why you are in charge. That is absolutely correct. I like the A's and I like the Astros. Feel free to play them together in the same lineup if you want to.
Yeah, but don't you dare call it a game stack.
You said you were fading, but you roared back with a vengeance there at the end. That came out of nowhere.
I hyped myself up a little bit. Let's see. MT Red Sox says, thoughts on smaller stacks like 3-2-2 tonight? I feel like you guys are going the opposite way and going big boy stacks, but maybe I'm wrong. Taylor?
Yeah, on a bigger slate, I generally don't go below a 5-man stack. I think 4 is okay, but 3 and all that, I'm not inclined to do that today.
Okay. Cheese, you agree?
Yeah, I can tell you, I actually quite often do 3-3-2 or things on bigger slates, but not to. I have one lineup that doesn't have a 5-man stack, and that's it. And that's just kind of a dumb lineup. I don't even know why I have it. That'll be the one that wins for sure. Then.
Yeah. Potty training update. Potty training my youngest this weekend. She has pooped her pants twice and peed her pants twice in the span of an hour. That's impressive.
That's actually, yeah. Really
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. That's well done. Glad I'm not there. What else do we got? DK Cash. Taylor, you want Kirby, Merrifield, Adele, or Vasquez, Terang, Carroll?
First one.
NBA DFS says Cheese, DK Cash, J-Ram, Soderstrom, or Machado and Langelier?
Man, that's close. J-Ram, Soderstrom.
Okay. DK GPP Cheese running a Cincy stack, Alonso, Sawinski, or Soderstrom, Otani?
Oh, yeah, get Otani in there. That's the guy you want to sneak in tonight.
Taylor, on the early win promo on DraftKings, who's your favorite team to go up early 2 runs tonight? So I don't know the exact rules, but I guess you got to get up 2 runs. Maybe the first team to get up 2 runs.
Go up by 2 runs? Is that what it is?
That's kind of what I'm guessing based on this question.
Let's take this on that one.
Who was it?
The Rays.
The Rays. Okay, I like it. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Carp Jimenez, or Singleton Merrifield?
Close. Singleton Merrifield.
Okay. A lot of discussions about best baseball fights, and I think the answer is the Nolan Ryan Ventura headlock. And Right.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, that's great. I feel like if we had the internet in like the early 1900s, though, I just have a feeling like all the best fights were before you would have seen them happen.
That's true.
Like, think about what we know about Ty Cobb. Like, I'm sure there are better fights back then, but yes, that I can think of. It's that Nolan Ryan, Robin Ventura one.
So good. The headlock and just repeated punches to the dome was just glorious. What else do we got? I think we pretty much do what we came here to do. We're going to leave a minute early. Derek says Ty Cobb probably had some wicked fights. All right. Yeah, I think we did it. We answered all the questions. We got one last question. No. We did that one too. We did all the questions. Excellent work. Hey, guys, we're going to bounce on out of here. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up on the way out. For Taylor, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have